Hey everyone, I'm Gary, and welcome to Logging On and Rolling Out. And along with my wife April and our rescue Yorkie Hazel, we travel the country in our Winnebago Sprinter van, VANDZL. April and I both work full-time remote tech jobs, so this channel is all about how we balance our careers with life on the road. We'll be sharing our travels, the network setups and DIY projects to keep us connected, and everything in between. So thanks for hanging out with us. Let's get into it. So we are getting prepped today for an upcoming trip. We bought two new Velotric e-bikes, and we needed to find a way to transport them on our Sprinter. So we picked up this BackStage mount from RockyMounts. It should hold 120 pounds, so about 60 pounds per bike. Our bikes are actually a little more than that, so we will have to remove the batteries to keep them under the weight limit. So we're going to start, this being a flat back van. In order to clear the back of the van, when we swing this mount out, we need to install an 8-inch hitch extension. So we're going to start there. So I've got everything needed for that. Let's see. It's got a lock. All right, and this is also from RockyMounts. Extension is installed. Set the keys there. We'll add those to our key ring or keychain for the van, so we can get this off if we're on the road sometime. So moving on to the actual bike rack. We're going to start by installing the swing arm. And it's just going to slide into the receiver here. And again, this works very similar. Had we not had the extension on, we would have kind of repeated the same exact step there for installing that hitch pin. My hardware bag. This one's got a nice cap over the lock. So I have had these actually corrode, more of a problem when I lived in the north, and then had to drill them out, right, when the key didn't work. So this one does have a cover on it. The extension one does not, so we'll see how that works out. We'll put the key up there so we grab that key later, throw it on our key ring. All right, we're going to be installing the hitch base now to the swing arm. So you want to bring it from the side here. Get it lined up. Let's get our bolt ready. All right, got that bolt dropped through. Put another flat washer and our nut on the other side. We're going to loosely install this because there may be some adjustment we'll have to do later. All right, so next up we've got the locking handle. It's going to slide into the end there. Screws for the other side here. And there's just one on each side. Hold that handle in there. All right, so next step is to pull the blue T-handle to lower the base, and we're going to put two of the wheel trays on the base. So pull that, lower that down. All right, so next up are installing the wheel trays, front and back. The back one does not have the logo. So when this is lifted up and stored in the vertical position, right, there'll be a RockyMounts logo there. That will be the front one. Got 8 of these M16 or M8 by 16 bolts. So let's get under there and do that. All right, so we're going to install the hook and trigger next, step 5 here. So with the blue trigger facing upwards and the hook towards the tray, we'll slide the wheel hook and trigger onto the load arm. And you can tell these are opposite, right? So we'll be doing the opposite thing on each one. So let's get that slid on there. And this will be our ratchet. This will hold the wheel. We'll show that at some point when we actually load bikes onto this. I'm going to throw this other one on the back one here. There are our load arm end caps now. All right, so next we're going to install these load arm end caps. This is step 6 in the instructions. The screws are already, these 6mm Allen wrench or 4mm Allen wrench screws were already in there. So I took them out. I installed the load arm end cap onto this one, just kind of pushed it in. I had to bump it a little bit with my fist to get it through there. And now I'm just going to install these Allen bolts. Get this one slid into this one. Okay, so next up, step 6, we're going to install the front wheel cups. And there's 4 M8 by 30 flange screws. So I've already thrown that front one on, drop that one in there. I'm going to get under there and get these installed. All right, one thing we forgot to do, we do want to tighten these. We do some final tightening as we kind of center up these wheel trays. So let's pull that T-handle, let's get it lifted up vertical there, and let's get those centered up and locked down. It's pretty wide. Doesn't look like we're gonna have an issue really side by side. So we're just gonna center these up as best we can here. Let's get them tightened down. We can adjust them later if we need, but I think we're going to be just fine. All right, so we got that all tightened up. It's all centered. We should be good there. I'm gonna lower this back down. All right, so next step, step 7, we're gonna install these backstops on both wheel trays. And there are M8 by 85 bolts to install there. So let's come to the back wheel tray, get this lined up. For the final step here, we're going to install these rear wheel cups. Let's go ahead and knock these backstops down so they're up and out of the way, or down and out of the way, I should say. And we want to make sure that we go through the strap, through the cup, through the tray, and get it tightened down. And you want these buckles facing out, so as you ratchet the strap down on your wheel, you can control that, and then you can open it up then when you get the bike back off. All right, we got both of those installed. These are going to work ratcheting through, so we're just gonna poke those through now because we're not putting the bikes on it. You don't want them flopping around. All right, the last step here said to check the exhaust clearance. The exhaust comes out the side on this van, so that's not an issue with this vehicle. But just be aware of that so not, melting any part of your bike. All right, so there's a few things. They kind of go over the rack positions after this. We'll probably talk more about that when we kind of show how we put our bikes on there and then how we store it, and as we kind of walk through when we start, traveling a little bit more here. We got some upcoming videos. But this was the assembly of the BackStage bike rack, the 2 bike rack from RockyMounts. So I want to thank you for tuning in. So we are logging on and rolling out, and these are our out of office adventures. Thank you.